The best things in life are turbocharged. Visit Tynan's Volkswagen today and get the 2024 Volkswagen Tiguan S4 Motion for as low as $249 per month with $19.99 down, or get 0% APR for 60 months. Take off with turbocharged fun. The Tiguan features all-wheel drive with an EPA rating of 29 miles per gallon highway. For full offer details, visit TynansVolkswagen.com. Tynan's Volkswagen, home of the lifetime warranty.
Does Here We Go mean I can go, or? Okay. So. You're listening to the Dollop on the All Things Comedy Network. This is a bilingual American history podcast where each week I, Dave Anthony, miracle worker, man who hates Miracle Whip.
These are all miracle themed?
And
a third?
I can't think of another miracle thing.
Sure.
Come on.
Reads a story
from Miracle Mile?
Used to live on the Miracle Mile. Reads a story from American history to his friend.
Whew, Gareth Reynolds, who has no idea what the topic is about.
And nemesis.
And that was brutal. We're not nemesi, again, for the last time.
I pick who my nemesis is. We've gone through this.
We talk.
You're 100%
often.
my nemesis.
It's not how it works.
I'm the fucking hippo guy!
Dave, okay.
My name's Gary.
My name's Gary.
Wait.
Is it for fun?
And this is not going to become the Tiggly podcast.
Okay.
This is like anarchy!
On a 5-part coefficient.
My rules of play!
Now hit him with the puppy.
You both present sick arguments.
No sleep till hippo!
That's like the hippo.
Action part.
Hi, Gary.
No.
Nicely done, my friend.
At some point, I'm going to actually remember to bring in the new theme. But we're coming up on, we are. We're at 400.
Yeah, we're not coming. We are. This is 400.
So we should probably have a new theme song.
Yeah, okay. Great idea.
Our guest, our first ever celebrity guest? How's that?
Sure.
Pam a celebrity?
Pam's not a... Well, I mean, I think our guest is bigger than Pam.
Patton Oswalt joins us for number 400.
Hello, everyone. Hi. Which camera's mine? Where's my goddamn eye line?
Oh, yeah, we should
right,
say...
that one?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
We're also
blew my intro. Unbelievable.
Well, obviously, edit this out to make you
YouTube.
seem charming.
Good.
As
Thank you.
always.
Yeah.
Right.
Originally, so for this episode, I lied to Patton. I told him it was going to be about Henry Kissinger to get him in here.
Oh, what?
Wait, you lied to him? So you thought that would get me? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Did Christopher Hitchens leave any meat on those bones?
Don't you love genocide?
Yeah. Oh, my God. Dear God.
So it's not about Kissinger.
I wasn't lied to at all, so I'm still in the same spot.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Aaron, do you want to put up the image?
Whoa. Wow.
Shit.
For real. Oh, my God.
Episode number 400
Yeah.
is our friend, Ronald Reagan.
Oh, my God. Oh, Dave.
That's right, RWR. Let's do it. Hell yeah.
February 6, 1911.
Woo.
Year of our Lord Jesus Christ. Ronald Wilson Reagan was born at home.
Well,
Yeah, nice.
I'm born.
Save that. Save that.
Yeah,
sorry.
He's not quite there yet.
Oh, sorry.
His parents were Jack and Nell, and he had an older brother, Neil. Young Ronald had a Dutch boy haircut, so he was known as Dutch.
Sure.
For a long time, he was called Dutch. I'm not going to call him Dutch.
Right.
Jack and Nell acted in local shows, and Jack really liked to drink.
Great. Okay.
And his drinking became worse and worse and worse over the years. Family moved a lot. 5 times in 10 years when he was young, Jack would sell shoes, and so he'd go to a different town. He'd get fired for drinking, and they move on to the next town. Just a good old-fashioned life.
Mm-hmm. That's perfect.
I just love that you can be a guy who sells shoes and show up in a new town and be like, I know shoes.
And I don't drink. Right. All right, I'm a drunk who doesn't have the shoes.
Well, let's give him a house anyway. He's got 2 kids and a wife. Give him a house.
So they finally settled for good in Dixon, Illinois. Jack was very, very liberal, and he was very vocal about it. He talked about reapportioning wealth. He was very against the Ku Klux Klan, and he instilled a respect for FDR in young Ronald.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So Ronald grew up idolizing FDR.
Grew up very...
As you can see.
Very liberal. Oh, my God. Come on.
The connection seems clear.
He was athletic. He played basketball, baseball, and he ran track. He went to Eureka College and joined the Tau Kappa Epsilon fraternity.
Nice. That's a good
TKE?
one.
Yeah, it's one of the best.
Yeah.
The Tykes.
Yeah, you Epsilonin, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At some point, the fraternity demanded the college president's resignation after he decided to cut some programs.
Okay.
So Ronald's fraternity is behind this big movement. They get everyone to go on strike. Ronald, there's a student strike.
What service are you removing?
Or the employees?
The students go on strike.
They go on strike.
Go on strike.
Okay.
We are halting our intellects and not gaining any more knowledge right now.
Yeah.
Knowledge strike.
Freshman Ronald Reagan gives the speech of demands.
Okay.
Because he's a big liberal. And they win, and the president is forced out.
Whoa.
Okay.
So Ronald Reagan learns the power of strikes.
And that was the basis of the movie Animal House.
All right.
Did I get that wrong? Let me go on IMDb. I'll check that out. Hang on. I might be wrong. Go ahead.
After college, Ronald wanted to work in radio. But he got a job at the Star Courier newspaper, and his job was to announce baseball scores.
Okay, that's pretty easy.
So what he would do is, so the baseball scores would come in after the paper was printed.
Right.
So what he would do is, he was hired to walk out on the second floor balcony with a megaphone.
What?
And he would announce baseball scores to fans in the street.
Greatest
Wait,
job.
I'm sorry.
A sport crier?
So he's a human glockenspiel. Like, oh, it's 3:00. Reagan's coming out.
Yeah.
Hello, citizen.
It's the mail ticker.
What the hell?
People would sit in the street. He would walk out and go like, "The Cardinals scored. It's 3-2."
Oh, what a great job!
Wow.
Talk about a job where you could drink like your father.
So he was a podcaster.
Yeah,
that's right.
Basically, he started as a podcaster.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that kicked off his sports broadcasting career. From there, he moved into radio, and he worked his way all the way up to announcing for the Cubs.
Okay.
No, he wouldn't go to games. He would announce. They would go out someone would send him what was happening through Morse code, and then he would make it up on the fly.
He would make what up on the fly?
He would get like a Morse code thing and be like, someone stole third. Like they had Morse code for everything that was happening on the field.
Would he make it seem like he was watching it as it happened? Was that
yes? And he would play a record that had applause, and he hit it with his foot.
Becoming like this is like genuinely kind of sad.
God, entertainment was so awful back then. People were just excited by nothing. It was really easy. It was great, man. Wow.
So
word on the street is a lot of people didn't show up to the games because I thought they were sold out. FYI.
Yeah, exactly.
So he did that for a while. He became huge. He has millions of listeners listening to his Cubs game where he's fake calling.
Right.
Sure.
He announces for 4 years, and then he talks them into sending. He talks them into the owners into sending him out with the Cubs to spring training.
Okay.
Because he has his eyes on Hollywood.
Oh.
So he goes to spring training in California. The Cubs used to train on Catalina Island.
What? Wait. Sorry. The Chicago Cubs. And also, knowing how difficult transport was back then.
Yeah.
Let's move them across the country and then off the continent to an island.
What's the hardest place we can get to?
Welcome to Baseball Island. You're playing for your lives, boys.
If you get cut, you got to swim off.
Good Lord. It just seems insanely inefficient.
Yeah, right.
So he starts.
We lost 3 on the journey of spring training.
We lost our pitcher in a swell.
It's all right.
Big tidal surge.
Boys,
the bullpen's drowned.
Boys, next year we're getting a boat to get to the island.
Oh, that'll be good. That's a good investment.
So he starts networking, and soon he gets a screen test, and Warner's offers him a 7-year contract.
Okay. Nice.
So they changed his name from Dutch Reagan to Ronald Reagan.
So hang on. So he was now just full-time Dutch Reagan.
He was Dutch Reagan until this is the first time he became Ronald Reagan.
Hello, welcome to the Dutch Reagan Radio Hour.
Yeah,
it's just me and a crowd full of people. Drop the needle, Bob. Listen to them today. They sound just like last week.
His parents moved close, so Ronald could help take care of them. It's nice.
His dad is still a drunkie.
Dad's still drinking.
These guys need shoes? Do your friends need shoes, Ron? Dad, get in the car.
His parents lived in West Hollywood.
Did they?
Wow.
All right.
His dad's liberal.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Ronald was in 8 movies in 1938, all B movies. And then he started dating Jane Wyman while she was married to her second husband.
Okay.
Oh, Reagan.
Yeah.
Ronnie.
Little Dutchy baby.
The Screen Actors Guild, SAG.
Did he play a record of her having orgasms when they had sex?
With his foot.
That's right. You like that, don't you?
She would send him telegrams as to what she was doing sexually, and he would, now I'm taking off your panties.
Oh, that's hot. More sexed.
So the Screen Actors Guild, SAG, had just started. Ronald called SAG, quote, a damned noble organization.
Nice. Okay.
He became very involved, and Ronald loved to talk about politics. Some actors found him annoying. When they worked with him, one actor said they would all try to avoid sitting with him at lunch.
Oh, my God.
To avoid, quote, Professor Reagan's discourses.
Oh, God.
Hey, Professor Reagan over there.
Hey, you know where we got bean sprouts? Oh, Jesus. Here he is again.
Good Lord.
Well, it turns out Ronald had gotten a subscription to Reader's Digest, and he would read every episode front to back and regurgitate it to anyone who would listen.
Well, that's the problem with him getting these crier gigs. He's just like, if I just talk at people, they're in.
Yeah. You know, that reminds me of how humor can be found in uniform. You know, one time...
As the table vacates.
We're all like, we know what you're doing, Ronnie.
He probably just wanted to sit alone.
Yeah.
Just
God, readers, just imagine something.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just the most bland fucking nonsense. Do you know how tables were made?
Oh, for God's sake. Tables.
A man found a piece of wood, and then he found 4 others. Hold on, I'm just getting going.
You won't believe what happens next.
There's a table.
I can't believe Reader's Digest made this into a 10-page story, but here we go.
What a ride.
So Jane was pressuring Ronald into marrying, and he did not want to marry. He's dragging his feet. So she threatened to kill herself if he didn't.
Wow.
How goth.
Which is not
powerful.
Not a red flag.
No, not at all. Yeah.
You do it. You do it. I mean, you obviously do it. You're like,
oh, well, she really wants it.
You don't date that girl. You marry her.
I didn't think you were serious until you did that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now
I know it's real.
So these feelings are for real.
She did. In January 1940, she OD'd on pills and was hospitalized.
What
Jesus Christ.
The next day, they were engaged.
Wait.
Ladies, that's how you do it.
Oh, so she survived.
Learn from Jane Wyman.
Wow. I didn't believe you.
It is very hard. At that point, it's hard to say no. You're really boxed in.
You really are.
Well, yeah. I mean, she's in a hospital bed. You're like, you for sure. Yeah, we should totally. Yes, absolutely. This seems. Let's talk to some doctors and let's some brain people. But yeah.
So he didn't want to have a baby. She did. So they had a baby.
Yeah, you don't push back anymore in this marriage. This now is it's unpushbackable. You know, anything. Yeah. I'd like you to sleep in the tub. All right. That's
well, I
what
mean,
you want.
this is part and parcel with him just regurgitating what he's told to do. Read these sports scores. Marry this crazy woman. She wants a baby. Give her a baby. All right. I
suppose.
I
don't push back.
So they had baby Maureen. Ronald got his big break in 1940 in Newt Rockne All-American.
For the Gipper.
The Gipper.
Okay, right.
Jack died, and they supported Ronald's mom. So Ronald got...
Who did he leave the shoes to?
The reading of the willed shoes. It's going to be a while, guys. He had a lot of them. He was drunk. He was burying some of them. We don't know what he was doing in the yard. There's a bunch of shoe maps here, so let's get moving.
We got to melt the Marcos.
It's going to be a day,
here. Yeah. So Ronald, the war's on. Ronald is a pacifist.
Wow.
What?
A vocal pacifist. But he gets called up. He gets 2 deferments. Warner's helped him out with 1, but after 2, they're like, "You got to go." So in 1942, he's assigned to go into the Army.
Okay.
And he is sent to First Motion Picture Unit in Hollywood.
Whoa, what? He got deployed to Burbank? What?
Actually, Culver City.
Oh, okay. What?
Yeah.
How does that? What?
You're serving under Colonel Karloff. What?
Do you even need to take a bus anywhere?
Yeah.
You're just
fucking living at home.
You're just gonna drive on. Yeah, I gotta drive onto the base. Got a spot right up front.
Hut to action. What?
All right, I want you boys to stop pretending. Stop pretending you're other people, boys.
You slimy scumbag, you call that acting?
I want 5 accents and I want them now.
Now you choke yourself.
Hello, Governor.
Oh, get this guy out of here. Christ.
So what they did was they made recruitment films. He was in some. He narrated some. He was on recruiting posters, and he went around the country selling bonds.
All right.
So he's like a salesman for the war.
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
Which I don't think it was hard to get people to join, but whatever.
People were fired up.
As a pacifist, this
A little
is
weird.
a bit of a shift.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
kind of perfect for him. He doesn't have to go fight.
Right.
Logically, yes, that actually makes sense. He's not.
The shift is to personal pacifism.
Yeah, I don't think
as
he really.
opposed to
I mean,
national.
as we get through the story, you'll realize he doesn't care about other people all that much.
What, Ronnie?
All right. Okay.
Dutchie?
So he never leaves the U.S. during the war, but because he's so out there, he's considered a war hero. Wow! Right? He's the PR guy. so
Wow.
The face of...
he's the face.
Fantastic. Way to go, Ron.
In March 1945, they adopted a baby, Michael Edward. And in December 1945, Ronald was discharged.
Okay.
Now, so that's about 3 years.
All right, clean out your trailer.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, yeah.
Soldier, turn in your food vouchers.
Can I have your commissary pass?
Yeah. Put the commissary coffee down. You have been discharged.
You're out of here.
That's Army coffee.
Come on. The regular one's actually next to it. There's regular coffee right next to the Army one right there, Ron. Great working with you. Yeah.
So things have changed. He is sort of, his type is completely outdated in Hollywood. They're suddenly looking for more nuanced, interesting actors,
Right.
and he's really one-dimensional and bland. Like
Right.
he's like the old school.
On time and sober.
Right.
That's right. So 2 unions, IATSE and CSU, were fighting for control of crews in Hollywood.
Okay.
And IATSE called CSA communists.
All right.
Okay.
And so Ronald became a SAG vice president, and CSU wanted to go on strike, but Ronald hated communists.
Okay.
So he got SAG to align with IATSE and reject the call for a strike.
Okay.
He said the strike, quote, was a plot to get economic control of the picture business, and that the communists were subverting Hollywood to spur revolution.
Here it is. Here's a nice little bend.
Here's our boy.
Nice little bend happening. Yeah. Finally.
There you go.
He's complete a scientist.
See the long game.
Yeah.
So he talked endlessly, as we said.
Oh, God.
At a party, he started blathering, and Jane whispered to a friend, quote, I'm so bored with him, I'll either kill him or kill myself.
That's, by the way, not an idle threat.
Yeah, no.
Not an idle threat at all.
When she whispers that, you're like, Jane, Jesus,
Jane.
come on, not again.
I'll stop talking. I'll stop talking.
Jane.
Well, by the way, back then, one of the ways you could be branded a communist, and this is true, is if you hated Nazism too early. I'm not kidding. Early on, in the early 30s, it was communism or Nazism, and people who hated Nazism too early were like, well, they're obviously a communist. In other words, you had to start hating Nazism at the right time.
Right.
And that
Because-
literally would get you tagged a communist.
Wow.
Because at first, fascism wasn't bad.
Right.
Everyone
Or
was
it
like,
wasn't
"Oh, this-"
looked at as bad by America.
Right.
It
was
still isn't.
really
That's actually very true.
exactly.
So another night out, they were with a couple, and Jane said, quote, hey, diary of the mouth, shut up. Maybe we can get in a word in edgewise.
Wow. All right. So she's come
Wow.
full circle. She's out of the cocoon and flying now.
There you go.
Hey, diarrhea mouth. She's like a jerky boy now.
It's like a Lockhorns comic.
Yeah. I mean, honestly. Hey, diarrhea mouth.
Hey,
She traveled around with a symbol.
yeah. Hey, sizzle chest.
Jane told June Allison, quote, "Don't ask Ronnie what time it is because he will tell you how a watch is made."
Oh, wow.
So they're having a great marriage. I mean, that's just a great marriage.
Yeah.
Boy.
So Ronald still considers himself a New Deal Democrat. He believes in government. He thinks that government should own public utilities and not private companies. He's big into public housing. Like, he's on board with the whole fucking deal. And he thought he had a duty at the same time to root out communists.
Right.
So McCarthyism comes along, and Hollywood rats are naming names.
That's right.
And the FBI recruited Ronald Reagan as a snitch.
Wow. Jesus Christ. Ronnie, I miss Dutch.
Yeah.
So he would
read baseball scores, dude.
I know, right?
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
would share private SAG files with the FBI.
Holy shit.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a douchebag.
Yeah.
And name suspected communists.
Wow.
Wow.
Those were usually actors who opposed his SAG leadership.
Wow. So he was. I'm amazed he didn't use it like against actors that were getting roles that he wanted.
Oh, that
Like, what
would have
if
been a
somebody
nice move.
Like, he did it to help his own career to get like
All his
that guy's- Montgomery Clift's not available anymore. Oh, guess I'll have to step in and do this.
I do more nuanced stuff now.
That's holy shit.
Another guy who looks just like you, Ron? That's right. I don't know what the problem is. I'm the only good one left, it seems.
So Ronald became president of SAG in March 1947. Jane was pregnant with her third child.
It's good to keep having children in this situation.
It sounds.
in this
I mean,
loveless.
I think it's the only way to shut him up is to fuck him.
Right.
Hey, diarrhea mouth, throw a baby in me. Well, all right.
Well, all right. I guess I could sling one more. But do you want to hear about... No. Just
God.
fuck me. Jesus
Please.
Christ.
Well, you know, the gas turbine has an interesting history.
Put this pillow. Put the pillow on your mouth.
Shut up and come.
Well, it's going to be a while. Did you hear about the baseball scores? Cardinals are dipping. Ron!
You know, bees can't see the color red. Is it? Oh, God.
So Ronald's shooting a movie. He's shooting a movie with Shirley Temple. It's like her first, like, I'm an adult movie.
Oh, wow.
All right.
And he decides to do his own stunt.
Okay. What high-level stunts are in this Shirley Temple
Yeah,
vehicle?
exactly.
Well, it's just jumping into a lake.
Well, the first John Wick movie was a remake of the Shirley Temple one. So, yeah, that was, I don't know if you know that. That was originally a Shirley Temple film.
John Wick, Lil Cutie, grown up. All grown up.
So he jumps in this cold lake over and over and over and over again.
Sure.
And a couple of days later, he is hospitalized with pneumonia.
Oh, God.
And it's a bad kind. It's like some weird viral one, and they don't know if he's going to live or die.
Yeah, it's lake
he's just
pneumonia.
fucking
Way
hanging.
worse.
It's lake pneumonia. So Jane goes into premature labor, has the baby. Baby dies. So he gets out. He survives. Sorry.
Yeah, it's tough. The ripple effect of that lake death will really change some things, I think.
Really, that lake would be a national monument.
I've got one more in me. No, Ron, we got it. I could do one more. Now we're good. That director's call changed history forever.
In October, Ron testified in front of the HUAC as a friendly witness, right? Communist hearings. He didn't name anyone, but when he came home, Jane demanded a divorce.
Okay.
She got custody of the children, and after the divorce, Ronald ran into Errol Flynn.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
Flynn told him, quote, "Be happy, old sport. Think of the parties. Think of the girls. Do what I do."
Yeah, have sex with 13-year-olds. Errol Flynn was a fucking monster.
Yeah.
That's not a... Don't follow that example. It's awful.
It's good news, Ron.
Yeah.
Have you ever
Just
heard?
drink a quart of gin and then take your dick out at a playground. Just like old Errol Flynn.
Have you ever heard our Errol Flynn episode?
It's crazy.
I know that. I mean, I've read his autobiography. It's horrifying. He was a horrifying human being.
Maybe one of the worst humans
Yes,
ever.
totally was. Oh, wow.
So this is 15 years after Errol's rape trial, so Ronald takes his advice
Obviously, yeah.
and begins womanizing. Ronald had read that World War I vets were forgiven their taxes for the years they served. Right? So when they served, they came back and like, you don't have to pay taxes for those years.
Thank you for your service. A tax-free year.
So he knew that when he went into the service, so he just didn't pay his taxes that year, thinking that the same thing would happen to World War II vets.
Okay.
That didn't happen.
Oh.
The government did not forgive their taxes.
Okay.
Ronald was livid.
I mean, he was in Hollywood. Like, I understand. I mean, he is literally acting like he's a soldier now.
Not only
The part I was born to play.
not only was he in Hollywood, but his salary, like his normal salary, was like in our money, be like $45,000 a year. Yeah. And then when he went into the army, it was like $1,000 a month. Like, he didn't have to pay that much in taxes.
Right.
But he was just mad by the concept of it. Like he's like one of those dads that's forced to pay alimony and is mad. Right.
Men's rights. Suddenly he's into men's rights.
He's totally a men's rights guy.
Hey, listen, I served. Those key lights were hot. All right. Some of those close-ups were brutal.
We lost 2 grips at lunch that day. That ravioli was old.
Still haunted.
So his acting career is now floundering, as we said. Any movie he's in, he's getting bad reviews. There's no audiences coming out.
Also, I think post-divorce, Jane's skyrocketed.
Yeah, she's taking
her career started going really well.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah.
So Jack Warner also casts Errol Flynn in a movie that Ronald had brought to the studio. He brings a script to the studio, and he's like, "Can I make this?" And he's like, "Yeah, just do these other movies first." And then they end up casting Errol Flynn in the movie that Ron brought to him.
Oh, God.
So he's not happy about that.
Right?
No.
Then in June 1949, Ronald broke his leg in 6 places in a charity baseball game.
Jesus.
Well, how hard was he? What was he doing?
Did anyone tell him?
Just a charity. They're just, what the hell?
You, Bob Hope!
I'm going to clean him.
Yeah. I tried to slide into Tor Johnson. Snapped his femur.
My leg. Well, I'm out.
Yeah, Ethel Merman line drived him.
She's the catcher.
Yeah, she spiked him. Oh, God, Ethel, got out of my way.
So he spent 6 weeks in the hospital, like in traction or whatever,
Jesus.
And then he reflects on his life. He's 38. He's divorced. And he's got a fading movie career.
Yeah.
So he's realizing things aren't great. Now, Nancy Davis had been kicking around Hollywood for a while.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. She was raised by her actress mother and doctor's stepfather, who was not tolerant of anyone he believed to be intellectually inferior.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. That included blacks, Catholics, and Jews.
Interesting.
And Nancy adored him.
Oh, God.
She accepted his belief that, quote, men were to be the leaders and women to follow.
Oh, dear.
Okay.
She studied drama at college, and then...
White drama. She studied white drama.
Right.
White manly drama. That's what she studied. Only that. Only white manly drama.
She gets out to become an actress, and now Spencer Tracy had been nursed through his alcoholic binges by Nancy's stepfather.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So,
by the way, when he would finish a movie, he would check into this is true. He would stay sober during the shooting. He would check into a hotel room with a steamer case full of liquor. He would sit naked in the bathtub and just drink, puke, and shit all over himself. Stand up, wash it all down the drain, sit down, and just keep going for 2 weeks. That's what he would do in between shoots. I'm not kidding. Oh my God. It was just.
What are you doing for hiatus, Spence?
I'm doing the old shit flume again. I just wrapped on Captain's Courageous, and it's time to drink a vat of scotch.
Off to my waist tub.
and yet that is someone's porn.
Yeah, it is.
Someone
Yeah.
wants that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God damn it, I want to get one of those Spencer Tracy.
Please tell me somebody filmed that.
So her stepfather nursed him through these binges or whatever he had to deal with at the end of those.
No, I mean,
And-
really, what, you just stand in the bathroom like, all right, Spence, nice shit.
I assume that he would take him out of it so he could get to a movie.
I'm sure he would at the end of the toot he was on,
Right.
he would then do a week of drying him out
Yeah.
and then
Right.
get him. Because she was like, we need him in a week.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, okay.
All right, right.
Fine. All right. Get
Let me
him
go
ready.
Pick him up out of his vomit tub.
Get the hose.
Hey, hose off Spencer Tracy. We got this desk set script. Just going to be really good. I'll get him an Oscar. Somebody hose him off.
Hands are tied on a meat cleaver, like on a meat hook. Flip him. Keep spinning him.
It's like
Get the fire hose. Some of this is really caked on the back like paint.
It's like from Scarface, except it's
Yeah.
not a it's not a chainsaw. It's a hose.
Somebody de-vomit Spencer. We got a shooting hair at the wind.
Oh God. So he, because of the connection, promises to get Nancy a screen test.
Okay.
At the same time, he gives her number to Clark Gable, and they dated for a few months.
Hey, thanks, Ron.
The studio casting director, so he gets like a big director to shoot it and a big actor, and gives it to the studio casting director who watches Nancy's screen test and, quote, told the studio she had no talent.
Okay, dokie.
Oof.
But Tracy still got the studio to sign her anyway.
Okay.
It's clout.
Yeah.
Nancy dated a few men, according to Kitty Kelly. Nancy, quote, was renowned in Hollywood for performing oral sex.
What?
Wow. Best head
She was-
in Hollywood. I read
That
that
was-
Kitty Kelly book. It was pretty brutal.
That was, and I looked into it, like to see if it was real or not, and everyone's like, yeah, it's salacious, but it's real.
God.
Okay.
So at some point, she decided she wanted Ronald,
Okay.
and she set her sights on him, and he finally asked her out. She loved his nonstop chatter.
What?
Okay, that's interesting. This is new for me.
Tell me more about how a lock system works for shipping.
It's not easy.
Well,
it's
interesting
lengthy and not easy, not entertaining. But let's start.
Do you know about rope? So she realized that astrology was the key to his heart.
What?
Oh, I thought that was a thing that didn't happen till as far back as the 40s. She was, wow.
So
What do you mean?
she would go to monthly meetings with Ronald at Carol Reiter's mansion. Reiter was big shit in Hollywood. He was a Philadelphia lawyer who became an astrologer and now advised big names like Cary Grant, Princess Grace, and Ronald Reagan.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay.
Not
So
good.
astrology is like this big
This new thing, yeah.
in public, Nancy always tried to be by Ronald's side, and she would spend as much time as she could with his kids, playing, singing, dancing, having a good time.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
They dated for 3 years, and all the while, Ronald saw other women.
Wow.
Interesting.
He was in love with an actress named Christine Larson, who he proposed to in 1951, but she turned him down.
Oh.
Okay.
So they kept their relationship secret.
He and Nancy.
No, Nancy's out. He and Christine. No one knows about Christine.
Oh, my God.
So photos would appear in magazines of Ronald with many women. May 1950, silver screen, quote, never thought we'd come right out and call Ronnie Reagan a wolf, but let's face it, suddenly every glamour gal considers him a super sexy escort for the evening.
Jesus Christ. I mean, it's too much. I think we can all agree. That's what we're all experiencing is it's just too much.
It's, good God. The 50s were, 40s were so awful.
Look at the wolf taking the meat back to the lair. Yum, yum, yum. A-lister, Ron Reagan at it again.
There were also women he did not take out in public who he was seeing, like Jacqueline Park. Quote, Ronnie never took me out in public, never gave me a present. He swore me to secrecy about our relationship and said I couldn't tell anybody at the studio about us.
Sounds like a pretty healthy relationship.
When I got pregnant, I found out that our relationship didn't really mean anything to him at all.
Oh, boy.
He said, "You're what?" Well, it's not from me, not mine. No, sir, it's not mine. He was awful. He said, I know how you Hollywood starlets play around with everybody, and then you try to blame good people like me, but you can't get away with it. There's no proof that you've ever been with me. You're just going to have to work this one out for yourself. I don't want to be involved. And then he hung up on me. I didn't know what to do. He was so powerful, and I was just a nobody, so I called my friend, and he arranged for me to have an abortion.
Wow. Yikes.
Jesus.
Win one for the giver.
Yep.
Hey.
Jesus.
Then,
so fucking sad. Anyway.
then Nancy, right after that, found out she was pregnant.
Oh, boy.
Okay. Let's see how Ronnie handles this.
Yeah. From the mouth?
Well, first he went right to Christine.
You know what? If she'd only just said no.
Oh, yeah, it's all right. Someone had to.
All right, yeah.
Well, he immediately told Christine first and said he felt trapped.
What?
Yeah.
What a creep.
A few days later, Ronald hit on Celine Walters at a club. She was 19. He was 41. She gave him her number and address, hoping he'd help her career.
Okay.
But Ronald showed up at 3 a.m. that night. Quote, he forced me on the couch, and I kept trying to keep a conversation going, saying stupid things like, oh, tell me about your latest movie, and oh, we'll talk about that another time. You're so beautiful. Let's get to know each other. He was so big I couldn't fight him off. It was the most pitched battle I've ever had, and suddenly, in a matter of seconds, I lost. I was so shocked and angry because he had spoiled everything. I told him too, but he said, oh, I just couldn't help myself. Don't worry about a thing. I'm going to call you, and we'll go hang out, and then we'll talk some more about your career. A week later, she read that her rapist was marrying Nancy Davis.
Oh, my God. Christ. Fuck. This is... I mean, I know this guy's a shitheel.
Yeah.
But I did not recognize that he was a rapist.
Yeah, and
well,
then,
I mean, it's that gigantic cosmic historical shitfuckery that he did. But then you're like, oh, yeah, even in the little tiny personal moments, he was also just
the origin story is also
everything he could be shitty about. He was shitty about.
That's
like
fucking crazy.
Yeah.
In the macro, and oh god,
I mean, the list
terrible.
of presidents who have raped someone, and
it's fucking
ridiculous.
it's crazy.
But yeah.
Like it's almost now
But again,
like a thing you rite of passage.
But again, you got to keep in mind that up until recently, men forcing themselves on women was seen as a charming thing sometimes. Like, you watch the fucking James Bond movies, or, you know, they're just forcing themselves to be like, ooh, what a man. It's like,
I know,
Yeah, it's really, really gnarly. I mean, what, 3 of our last 6 presidents?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that we know of.
That we know of.
Exactly.
There's probably more.
I think we could probably take Jimmy Carter off the list. He probably dodged the bullet.
That we're probably pretty safe.
He's been raped.
Yeah, he's the one who's saying to someone like, no means no. I can't.
I'm just trying to build you a house. I mean, I noticed.
So Nancy was 2.5 months pregnant when they married. She refused to have anything to do with his kids after they got married. So she's playing with him, she's hanging out, she's having fun with him. As soon as she gets married, done.
Wow.
And then who was the kid they had together? That was
Patricia.
Oh, okay. Patty.
Are you ready to upgrade your windows? Replacement by Pella is the right choice. We back our products and installation, unlike other window companies. And Pella windows and doors are built to perform just like your football team on game day. Right now, buy one window and get another at 50% off, plus no payments and no interest for 12 months. Visit Pella.com today. That's Pella.com. Pella, your trusted partner for a more beautiful home. And a winning choice, whether it's for your windows or your football team.
So his career was drying up, and Nancy had no career. They had a lot of overhead. They had a home, a ranch supporting his mom, child support, and the IRS debt. So for money, he became a nightclub act in Vegas.
What? What the
Reagan did?
He did 3 months.
What the fuck was his nightclub act?
This is quite a wrinkle, David.
I took it off because there was not enough room, but it was just like song and dance shit. It was what you'd think.
I'd like to invite a lady out of the audience so I could assault her.
He's just reading sports scores. I'm doing the classics. I'll do the hits.
This is about how communists are bad.
Yeah, he would read the new Reader's Digest. That was a 4-hour show.
Sorry, so these pages are stuck together. Bear with me.
Can you believe that's how you make a table?
Imagine. 2 legs just wasn't cutting it. Licks finger, turns page.
God.
So that lasts 3 months. Yeah, Patricia Reagan's born. He comes back. When Patricia was delivered, the night of the delivery, Ronald was not at the hospital. He spent that time with Christine Larson.
Wow.
Not soon after, Ronald went to Christine's, and another man answered the door in a bath towel. Ronald was furious. He stormed off, and that was the end of his affair with Christine Larson. Such betrayal. That
Come on.
What do you mean you're seeing someone else? You're mine.
Yeah. I can't find a loyal mistress?
Good Lord.
What in the world? I need a monogamous mistress. I can't for this town. It's just it's a den of sin. All these mistresses are cheating on their married lovers.
Dirty girls.
Oh, disgusting.
I do kind of love how much fucking was going on in Hollywood, though.
Yeah, it is nice.
Yeah.
I mean, it was probably pretty cool, you know?
Yeah,
You're probably
it doesn't happen
hey,
anymore.
everybody's got everybody pregnant.
So TV starts taking off. Talent agency MCA announced they were going to get into TV production.
Okay.
So Ronald helped negotiate a waiver for MCA to do both. So SAG has to give them a waiver because it's a super conflict of interest.
Right, okay.
No other agency gets a waiver.
Interesting. Weird how that works.
MCA represents Ronald Reagan.
Oh, that's an
wait a
interesting
minute.
development.
Suddenly, MCA got Ronald tons of TV shows to be in at a higher rate than he deserved.
Okay.
So they gave him his old rate from when he was a star as opposed to like what he should get.
Right.
Now.
And he's just working TV. Like on shows?
Now he's in TV shows and TV movies. And,
Okay.
In 1953, Ronald was picked to host General Electric Theater. Part of the job was also to go to GE plants, meet workers, and make speeches.
Oh, God. Oh, no.
Here we go.
Yeah, I mean, really.
it is.
Right?
Here's the moment.
The show was a huge hit, and his GE handlers would give him right-wing literature to educate him about the problems with labor and things like that.
Wow.
And then at the same time, Nancy's stepfather, who was a John Bircher,
What?
was chatting in his ear about how bad
Here it
the
is.
left was.
And
here it is.
how-
Yeah.
A devil on each shoulder.
This is not Mr. Pushback.
Yeah, right.
All right.
Things to talk about? I'm in. Talking points? Yum.
His speeches won over workers. People related to him. They felt he understood and shared their concerns. Soon other groups asked him to speak, and he would rant about communists taking over unions and big government. GE Theater had 25 million viewers a week.
Oh, my God.
Oh,
What?
Ronald became one of the most recognized men in the country.
Wow.
I always thought he was just in shitty
That's what I
eight
thought.
movies.
he was.
But no, he was a fucking big star.
Once TV came, that kind of saved him.
Right.
Yeah, he was done without TV.
Exactly. Yeah. He really hit a wall. He literally had, I think, one good film role.
Right.
King's Row. That's it. And then everything else was just, now Bonzo, don't you know?
Oh, right. I forgot about Bonzo.
Yeah. And then terrible song and dance movies with like Dick Powell.
Oh, God.
Dick Powell also kind of pushed him to the right, by the way. Which is
So did
a bummer.
Bonzo, from what I hear. Bonzo Monkey was also like, Ron,
You
they're
know-
taking our bananas.
Eat the orangutans are communists.
In 1958, baby boy Ronald Prescott Reagan arrived. Michael was 14 and acting out, so Jane sent him to live with his dad.
Okay.
All right.
Now, this is when 7-year-old Patty first met her half-brother Michael.
Oh, wow. So, I mean, they
Wait, did she not even know he existed? Wow.
I think she knew he existed, but Nancy wouldn't allow the kids around at all.
That's so fucked.
So she never, right? So that is, I mean, as a parent, imagine,
Yeah.
like your daughter probably wish she had another kid, a
Exactly,
brother,
yeah.
sister.
Yeah.
So now imagine having one and never
letting them meet.
Yeah.
like
It's
the,
worse.
the monster you have to be as a parent to do that. Like to me, that's like insane.
The kid grows up really having it hammered in their head. It's my life is getting lived first, and then whatever is left over you'll get. But you're not the main focus here.
Right.
I didn't get into it, but I read that
God.
Michael wrote a autobiography, and at one point he wrote in it that he thought that the black maid was his mother until he was like 8.
Wow.
So that guy's life was fucking fucked
And
up.
so also Nancy is really a source of I mean, she is making him a worse person.
Yes, absolutely.
Clearly.
Yeah.
So Nancy agreed to let him come live with them if he went to boarding school during the week and stayed at the Malibu Ranch with Ronald on weekends.
Well, that
if he
sounds nice.
ever had to spend the night at the Pacific Palisades home, he had to sleep on the couch.
Well, that's nice.
There you go.
Olive branch. That's
Good
nice.
imprinting.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, surely you're going to grow up being a generous person. He's certainly going to be the kind of guy who really cares how the waiter's feeling at dinner.
Yeah.
In November 1959, Ronald, he's back as president of SAG, even though he's been saying all this shit about unions, right? So he is back as president, and he negotiates SAG rituals for old movies that are now being played on TV.
Okay.
Right? So no one knew that GE had given him 25% ownership of GE Theater Productions.
Wow.
So he's management and negotiating for actors.
Right.
Is he getting a cut of the residuals of all the movies, or that's just a separate?
Well, that's what he's negotiating for.
Oh my God.
Wow.
So, but he's making tons of TV money.
Yeah,
Right,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
and
he
endorsements, he does crazy endorsements
that means
now.
he's not going to care about the TV movies all that much. So he got a good deal, but there was a one-time payout of $2.25 million for movies that were made between 1948 and 1959, and that money was used to start the health insurance and pension plan. So everyone else after at 1960 on, if their movies were playing on TV, they would get residuals.
Right.
So all these old actors like Bob Hope and Mickey Rooney are fucking livid because they got
nothing
fucked out
compared.
of them. But Ronald doesn't care because Ronald is making big TV money.
Right.
Exactly.
And it seems like he did do something in a way.
He did. I mean, for us, he did something good.
Yes, but
he also would he have done, knowing what we know about this person, would he have done that?
I think
if he was not making TV money?
I'll answer you right now. Certainly he would have. Without question. Without question. There's not a doubt in my mind.
So at the next SAG meeting, a member accused Ronald of bad faith because he was both a union leader and management.
Finally, the connection was made.
Wow.
With yarn on a cork board. Wait a minute. He's a liar.
He denied this, but resigned the next month. You know who wrote about this was Wayne Fetterman. I think it was an Atlantic article.
Really?
And in it, Wayne Fetterman is very adamant that he's not a Republican. I've talked to Wayne Fetterman.
Sure you have, David. Sure you're out there, Dave.
Wayne bullshit. So now, most importantly, this was around the time that Ronald started calling Nancy mommy.
Oh, I did sort of know that, but I think I blocked it out like personal trauma.
Makes my skin crawl.
Mommy.
Man. It's the Pence does that too, right? It just makes my
mother.
Pence is mother.
Mother.
And Reagan is mommy.
Mother is, I think, mommy's horrifying. I find mother harder.
Way worse.
Because you're getting
Mother's harder.
spankings and stuff.
Yes,
Mother,
exactly.
it's the level of
Mother.
I don't know, yeah.
Oh, God.
Mother.
So-
Mommy. Mommy.
Mommy.
So JFK was running against Nixon, and JFK was running partially on creating Medicare. Mm-hmm. Ronald volunteered to make a spoken word record warning that Medicare would lead to the government takeover of, quote, every area of freedom as we have known in this country.
There it is. The start.
That's the beginning
When we learned.
of the end.
The record was sent out and played at meetings across the country.
Well, can you think of anything worse than a propagandist Ronald Reagan hour? Imagine flipping that fucking record over. Hold on, let's get to the rest. This is real good.
Wait.
What's he going to say?
Oh, this is good.
Just imagine a time when you would go to a meeting and someone put on a record.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Or you,
talking.
yeah, exactly. Or you go to like some hosted dinner.
Yeah.
And they would go, now we're going to listen to this record.
And it's him.
Like he can't even be bothered to, and it's in town, like you're in LA and they're putting the record on. It's like, he's a mile from us right now.
That's a good listen, though.
Yeah.
But JFK won, and Medicare became one of the most popular government programs of all time. Mm-hmm. If not the most popular. I mean, Social Security and Medicare. Still, Ronald hit the lecture circuit, claiming JFK's policies would lead to, quote, social slavery.
Well, look, you got a hit record, you got a tour on it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously.
Got to get out there.
Go out there, do the hits.
You gotta
Give the crowd what they want.
You got to come up with new material.
You want to hear about Medicare?
Yeah, he's doing it.
He's doing it.
He's taking out a watermelon and a hammer. Medicare.
Do the social slavery line.
Yeah.
Wow. But he has been proven right. History has shown us that Medicare is absolutely
it's really social slavery for sure.
Yeah.
But people hate it. Yeah. So GE cut Ronald loose after MCA was investigated for a conflict of interest by the Justice Department.
What?
And Ronald was obviously caught up in that. And he testified and was like, I don't remember. I don't recall. I don't know.
Which is going to be a catchphrase for life.
Yeah.
Also, he had moved too far right for even GE at this point.
Wow. That's one of the most evil corporations in history. It's like, we got to get rid of this guy.
Honestly, you're freaking us out, and that's not good. We are genuinely irked by your behavior. And we are, again, the devil.
I mean, we're making napalm, and you're creeping us out.
We're leaving you, Ron. I don't know how hard that is to understand.
Yeah. It's not us, it's you. And we say that openly and with all confidence.
When he was fired, he said, quote, Robert Kennedy is behind this attack on me.
Oh, my God.
Mm-hmm.
And he blamed JFK for not being cast in films because his agent was a JFK supporter.
What? I mean, this...
But wait a minute. He had stopped getting cast in films a decade before that. What are you...
Wheels were in motion. This goes all the way to the top. John F. Kennedy and Robert F. Kennedy don't like me acting.
Hey, between you and me, no more Reagan in films. That'll be my main platform.
Now, Bonzo, on the other hand, that kid's got legs. And boy, does he know how to use them. Kid JFK's got Bonzo in a dress in his room. I just love your stuff. I've always been a huge fan. Whiskey? Do you drink whiskey? Can you smoke? Is that true?
Oh, God. So the Reagan had a party planned on the night JFK was assassinated. A guest called to see if it was still on. Nancy, quote, don't be silly. We'll expect to see you around 7 p.m.
Oh, wow. I mean, that's like 9/11.
Yeah.
That's like having a dinner party on 9/11.
Well, that's the equivalent of, the fake story about Muslims celebrating.
Mm-hmm.
That is the Muslims celebrating a death or a disaster.
Yeah,
that's
totally.
them. Having a weird, it was probably some weird, creepy blood ritual.
Yeah,
up in the mansion, and Anton LaVey was there.
A pentagon in sand.
Yeah, something.
All right, Nancy, now drain the blood from my penis and we'll drink it.
Cutting a monkey's penis and drinking the blood out of it. This is what we do.
Sorry, Bonzo.
Patty, who was 11 at the time, said her parents showed no emotion when JFK was murdered.
Right.
So Ronald finally officially switched from Democrat to Republican. And soon he was giving a half-hour speech on NBC for Barry Goldwater. So his speech is so good that Barry Goldwater's like, let's get you on TV.
Yeah.
But after Goldwater lost, two of Goldwater's guys moved over to Reagan's camp. Oh. And they and some other rich guys got together and, quote, became Ronald's kitchen cabinet.
Okay.
So they're basically unofficial advisors, rich guys. They're asking him to run for governor of California. So Ronald starts giving speeches around the state. In 1964, Ronald called free speech protests at UC Berkeley acts of, quote, anarchy with attempts to destroy the primary purpose of the university.
Is this really the first time where someone is using that kind of... it is so Trumpian, that language. So, is this...
Well, no, there were people before then, like, oh, God.
Father Coughlin.
Father Coughlin and his group were very, very,
speaking these dire terms.
Super right-wing, but speaking in very... Enoch Powell over in England, that Rivers of Blood speech. There were apocalyptic people that would use that to rile people up.
Right, okay.
Yeah. But Reagan's just following their example.
Yeah.
Because it worked.
Well, and it keeps building.
And remember, McCarthy is like this. Like Hoover, there's guys out there.
McCarthy, right.
For sure. So he warned of, quote, again, it's time about Berkeley. He warned of, quote, orgies so vile I cannot describe it to you.
But I'll try. In my new album, Ron talks about a blood orgy. Blorgy, Ron Reagan's new hour.
Blorgy.
They're fucking monkeys.
This was around the time I think he did his last TV movie, and it was The Killers, and it features a scene where Ron slaps Angie Dickinson, and then John Cassavetes punches out Ronald Reagan.
Oh, amazing.
That was his last
Why
screen
can't
role.
that be in real life?
Just on a loop.
Yeah.
I wish that's how he left office. Yeah, on a loop.
Play that on a loop. Just Cassavetes, and he knocks Reagan down. Like, he punches him and knocks him down.
yeah.
It's amazing. Yeah.
So Ronald is out there speaking. He opposes the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act. Middle-aged, white, working-class guys, super into it.
Oh, sure.
Ronald wins the GOP primary. New York Times, quote, California Republicans, against all counsels of common sense, insisted upon nominating actor Ronald Reagan for governor. Democratic Governor Pat Brown called Ronald a right-wing extremist. And he ran a TV ad in which he was in a high school class. He's talking to the students, and then he tells a young black female student, quote, I'm running against an actor. Do you know who shot Lincoln, don't you?
Oh, Jesus Christ. I mean, that is...
God.
That is a mudsling reach.
I am not a fan of Ron, but goddamn, dude.
I
mean, what the hell?
What the fuck?
Who signs off on that?
Yeah.
God. Oh, yeah, he's the extremist.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm out of my fucking mind.
Yeah.
Like,
Excuse me, what class is this?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
For his part, Ronald was on the cover of Look magazine standing next to a black lawn jockey statue with large white lips in front of his ranch.
Oh, God.
A hard choice between these two.
Yeah.
Ronald won in a landslide.
Oh, my God.
The outgoing First Lady gave Nancy a tour of the governor's mansion.
Okay.
And the press tagged along. Nancy said it was a fire trap and an eyesore.
Nice. On the film's tour?
While the press is
There you
there
go.
walking around
That's good.
to the ex-First Lady. And the ex-First Lady says, quote, we loved living in this house. Nancy, quote, oh, I'm sure you did.
What kind of awkward...
She's awful.
Yeah, I mean, but...
Exactly.
Can't you just... I mean, you're being filmed. Awful people normally know when the camera's on, I guess, is what I'm thinking.
Nancy's secretary called the Browns to ask them to move out of the mansion several days early so she could fix it up.
Oh, God.
Okay.
They didn't.
No.
Nancy told Women's Wear Daily, which, by the way, I still get.
It's so good. I
it's
get
a
that
great-
in Look monthly still. I love that in Look.
It's my Bible.
Yeah.
Anyway.
She told Women's Wear Daily that she would be she could be happy anywhere with if Ronald and the kids were with her.
Not his original kids.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
But only 8-year-old Ron was at home. Patty was at boarding school. Michael and Maureen were with Jane. Nancy also didn't allow them to be publicly seen with their father.
It's very easy to love your children when you see them at holidays.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. If I don't see my kids at Tu B'Shvat every year, it's a piece of my heart is gone. A piece of my heart is gone.
You're a good dad.
If I don't get to wave to them from the front lawn as
Hello!
they drive by. Hey.
Hello! The Reagans lasted 1 month in the governor's mansion.
What?
Nancy, quote, this place is just not safe. It backs up on the American Legion Hall where I swear there are vile orgies every night.
What?
Wait,
is
the
going
American
on?
Legion Hall?
That's where orgies are.
Let me tell you about Guadalcanal while I slap you with my dick. Like, what the hell does she think goes on in an American Legion Hall? What? Oh, my God.
The orgies.
You guys want to play foxhole?
Oh, God.
The scapegoating of orgies is so.
Oh my
I'm going to
God.
bring that back.
Yeah,
I'm just concerned about the orgies. Seems like a hot area.
Yeah.
A little too much talking about orgies, you know what I mean? A little
Yeah.
defensive talking about orgies.
Right.
The orgies are bad.
Yeah, they do go to orgies a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
It would not shock anyone.
No.
Mommy?
So she told the press that she said to Ronnie, I can't let my children live there. So Friends...
They don't. They're in boarding school.
Yeah, they're
but
not
anyway.
there.
Right. So Friends bought a fancy house and leased it to the Reagans.
Oh, my God.
And then Nancy complained, quote, wouldn't you think that the state would provide a residence for the governor and his family?
Yeah. Nance. They did.
Yeah, they did.
So the state paid for the rent on their new fancy house and began building a new huge mansion.
What? So relatable.
Yeah.
Really.
Folksy.
Salt of the earth. Yeah, salt of the earth.
Folksy.
Yeah, exactly.
Folksy,
Yeah.
You know?
Nancy supervised the construction, and a lot of people said it was a bad use of state funds because there was a recession on.
Now, as someone who has worked construction, let me tell you, this is the worst person in the world to work for. The person who, while you're painting, is like, it doesn't look like it's dry. You're like, it's wet paint. You could go to your room. I can just handle this.
So California's in serious debt, so Ronald makes cuts. He lays off career employees, he slashed the state's university budget and ended free tuition. He cut 3,700 jobs in mental health and closed hospitals. Wow. The year after, a study revealed the number of mentally ill people entering San Mateo's criminal justice system had doubled.
I mean, right there. Yeah. Just such an indicator of where we are today.
That's it.
It's just the pulling of that thread really shows. Like today, that's why. That's when Donald Trump is like saying like we got to get the homeless off the street. It's well,
let's take.
There was a way to do that.
Yeah, there used to be a thing we did.
There used to be a check.
So Ronald campaigned on a pledge to, quote, clean up the mess at Berkeley. Remember the protests?
Yeah. What year is this, though? Is this now 64, 65?
Oh, God. What year is it? Yeah, I think so. Okay. Yeah.
Look,
it's 60. It's late 60s. It's 68.
Okay.
69.
Again, I'm not defending Ronald Reagan, but to that generation, what was happening on campuses must have seemed like the end of the world.
Oh, yeah.
They could not fathom what was going on.
Right.
And these people were freaking out.
Yeah.
That generation shit their pants and freaked out.
And so if it's 68, 69,
we call it Spencer Tracying. They shit the tub and puked in it, too.
They Spencer Tracy.
Yeah, they Spencer Tracy.
That's what that generation did.
You've also got, the fucking Summer of Love and like just the hippies and acid
orgies.
and
Stuff
orgies.
that never... I mean, really, that's probably where a lot of the stuff is coming from.
So Ronald called the university a, quote, haven for communist sympathizers, protesters, and sex deviants.
Orgies.
Sure.
After riots in Detroit, Newark, and Watts, the Department of Defense came up with Operation Garden Plot.
I don't like it.
Oh, already. Any fucking time a government agency gives something a nice name.
No Child Left Behind.
Operation Spring Sunshine. Oh, okay.
How many were killed in the Spring Sunshine bombings again?
Yeah.
You're going to fertilize the garden with blood. What? It was a plan to deploy federal forces domestically when it looked like violence might break out.
Jesus.
Oh, boy.
Now, their version of violence breaking out was protest by minority people for housing or whatever.
Yeah, how dare they?
Ronald was a big part of this at the state level. At a 1969 Operation Garden Plot meeting, Ronald said the operation was in line with the, quote, 6,000-year history of man pushing the jungle back, creating a clearing where man can live in peace and go about their business with some measure of safety.
Wow.
Okay.
This is now.
Yeah, that's a dog bullhorn, by the way. That is not a dog whistle.
Right.
It's not done.
That's what he always uses.
We're not done.
Of late, the jungle has been creeping in again a little closer to our boundaries.
This is fucked.
Yeah, that's not coded.
No.
Yeah, no, really.
Yeah. It'd almost be like if a president today tweeted the word savages when they were describing Jewish and people of color that were in the, it's weird if they use the term savages.
Yeah.
It'd be a little weird. Anyway.
But like we said, this is not possible.
Yeah, I mean,
today.
we've evolved. I mean, this is the 60s.
Good
guys.
Lord.
We're 50 years down the road. We're fine now.
Now, UC Berkeley had a 2.acre plot off campus that they were going to build student housing on, but then they ran out of money. So the site became a pile of debris and rusting cars. So then locals came and cleaned it up and built a public park, naming it the People's Park. Ronald did not like this. It was seen as a challenge by leftists on property rights.
But it's a park.
What are you talking?
Like parks, parks don't have political affiliation.
Yeah,
they have jungle gyms,
and also you don't have property rights if you're not using the friggin' property.
Yeah, right.
It's just a pile of rubble.
Right.
That's a good. That's capitalist rubble there. Please
right. Bring that rubble back in the park. Rubbing it up again. That'll teach you.
I want rusty cars.
Yeah.
He told school administrators to act. The school and park organizers began negotiating a deal when at 4:30 a.m. on May 15th, 1969, police arrived with a fencing company. An 8-foot-tall fence was put up around the park. Then at noon that day, students held the rally on campus, and then they marched peacefully to the park. Cops were guarding it. A fire hydrant was open and some police were soaked. Then they fired tear gas. Then people threw rocks. Sheriff's deputies were called in by Ronald and guards from a local jail who were not trained as deputies. That'll be fine.
Yeah.
I don't know why you're making a weird face.
Yeah.
There were 800 officers.
Oh, my God.
And then more protesters arrived. Reagan's office told police to use whatever methods they wanted.
That's a great thing to say.
Get creative.
Guys, here's my and please take this in the right hand. Have at it, and please
have some fun with it. Really explore the space. Use a protester's body to beat another protester up. Go crazy.
Cops moved in swinging their nightsticks and then fired tear gas as people ran away. They then began shooting shotguns.
Oh.
Some people were on the roof of a bookstore watching, and a sheriff's deputy shot at the roof. James Rector was hit 6 times.
What the
Jesus?
fuck?
Ronald claimed the people on the roof were throwing rebar and that the pavement couldn't be seen because it was covered in bricks, rocks, and the bodies of sheriff's deputies who had fallen, but that is clearly a lie because there's photographs. James Rector died.
Jesus.
Another student was blinded. Reporters saw cops shooting at people who were running away. At least 128 people were sent to the hospital with serious injuries. 30 of them had been shot. A doctor at the hospital, quote, "The indiscriminate use of shotguns was sheer insanity."
That's so crazy.
When asked why the police used such force, Ronald answered, quote, "It is very naive to assume that you should send anyone into that kind of conflict with a fly swatter."
Conflict. I mean, that is...
He made the conflict!
That really is what gets so frustrating.
Walking to the
like,
you're right.
The creation of the conflict to complain about the conflict and overreact to the conflict
exactly.
and then blame the people who aren't
But
the problem.
that's a very fascist
Yes,
piece
of
of
course. But
that is absolutely the goddamn brown shirts going to union and communist thing, and then starting trouble, and then when they fight back, they're like, see how violently we had to wipe them out. What could we do? Oh my God, this is terrible.
Yeah, it's putting your finger in front of someone's face until they push it away, and then you're like, physically touch.
He hit me.
Physically touch.
I have to destroy him now.
Yeah. So Ronald declared a state of emergency and sent in the National Guard. On May 20th, National Guard helicopters flew over the Berkeley campus spraying tear gas.
What?
Wow.
Wind blew it into a hospital and elementary schools.
I mean,
oh God,
come on. It's
you know what? You guys, look. It's hard to be governor.
Yeah, but also sending in the National Guard to a problem. Like the police were shooting people.
Yeah.
The National, the people need the National Guard.
This is like a couple days. This is like a day later. So now it's just people on campus. He's just
and in hospitals and schools.
People are just walking to class and again tear.
Ronald would later concede this may have been a, quote, tactical mistake.
Well, man, you know it.
That's why I want to bomb the wind. Show that thing.
On May 22nd, 2 days later, 500 people were arrested. Many of them were not even protesters. They were jailed and beaten. A year later, Ronald stuck by his decision, quote, "If it takes a bloodbath, let's get it over with. No more appeasement."
Good Lord.
Appeasement?
Very violent rhetoric.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus.
Oh, it's insane.
Yeah.
He was reelected in 1970 with 53% of the vote.
Yeah.
Wow.
After that.
After all that, people are like, that's our guy.
Who's he running against?
He killed someone. Like, his orders killed someone.
Right.
Yeah.
Who was standing on a roof watching, and that's it.
Yeah.
So he got 53% of the vote. His priority was welfare reform. He spoke about lady welfare cheats and said his staff, quote, discovered thousands of people who were receiving welfare checks at the same time they were gainfully employed. And one couple earned more than $100,000 between them. There was absolutely no proof of any of these statements. Ronald was known to accept whatever the last person he spoke to told him.
Oh, boy.
If his staff
a fun trick to have.
If his staff
Weird
gave
superpower. It's not a popular X-Men.
I can repeat whatever bullshit I just heard. Let's go.
If his staff would come in to give both sides of an argument, he would accept the first thing he heard and say that was the way to go.
That's it.
Yeah.
So the staff began working everything out before they would bring it to him.
Right.
In 1971, the day after the UN voted to recognize the People's Republic of China, Ronald called Nixon and vented about the delegates who voted against the U.S. Quote, Last night, I tell you, to watch that thing on television as I did, to see those monkeys from those African countries, damn them, they're still uncomfortable wearing shoes. And Nixon laughed hard.
Uproariously. There's audio of it.
Right.
And
it's recent they found that.
Very
right?
recently they just uncovered it, yeah.
Right. That's fun.
There you go.
Just a couple of presidents chewing the fat.
You know what? Look, they should do that as a crank anchors.
Right.
Get the puppets. That
would be great.
Funny. Yeah.
When Watergate broke, Ronald said it was not criminal, just illegal.
There it is.
There you go, Yogi Berra.
There it is.
Going,
there it is. Gleaming the cube. Gleaming.
As evidence came out, people bailed on Nixon, but Ronald hung in there, saying they were, quote, not criminals at heart.
At heart.
Wow. What, I mean, imagine having that ability.
Oh.
His heart is good. I'm the wizard.
He didn't run for governor again. The mansion they built was just being finished when he left office.
Turn it into a park.
The new governor, Jerry Brown, refused to live in it, calling it, quote, garish, expensive Taj Mahal. Brown instead lived in a 2-bedroom apartment. California eventually sold the mansion in 1984 without a governor ever living there.
Wow.
They just fixed up the old mansion, the one that she hated.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ronald's cabinet wanted him to run for president. He didn't want to. He was now making good money with a radio job and writing a column. Nancy wanted him to run. She consulted 3 astrologers. All said 1976 was not the right year, but she still pushed him to run, and he agreed. He went with what is called the Southern strategy, appealing to racists using coded language. He launched his campaign with a speech emphasizing states' rights in Philadelphia, Mississippi, where 3 civil rights workers had been murdered in 1964.
Again, the most uncoded, coded language you could use.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
He spoke he spoke of dismantling the Civil Rights Commission, opposing affirmative action, and cutting federal ties to cities with social programs that were seen as a benefit to black people, like subsidized housing. This is when he first invented the woman on welfare in Chicago who has 80 names, 30 addresses from episode 260 or something. The welfare queen.
Right.
Oh, Jesus.
All made up. He made up a big thing about this woman, and she turns out, she wasn't real.
Right.
Ronald sometimes got his knowledge from letters that people sent him.
That's not good.
No, not at all.
What? Did he just hold it up to his head without opening it?
He was...
Mommy.
Sis boom ba.
He was super into letters, writing and getting them.
Oh, boy. Yay, letters.
Yeah, I mean, really. Like, come on.
The letters here. I'm the president.
Ooh, the postman, Mommy.
We.
One person wrote and said there was more oil in Alaska than Saudi Arabia, so Ronald put it in a speech.
Great. There you go. Perfect.
Oh, why didn't we know more about it? We could have sent him the craziest.
Oh, my God.
Just to see if he would say it.
Oh, my God. That would have been such a pleasure.
Exactly.
Slowly just convincing him.
You know, there's a secret colony on the moon ruled by Vincent Price.
The best water's in volcanoes.
Another person wrote about disposing of nuclear waste by turning it into golf ball-sized objects and then launching them into the ocean.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Why not?
Ronald's campaign manager convinced him to, quote, save that one for later.
Ronald, I think the issue is that one's too good. So let's hold on to that one for a little while. Let's sit on that one.
Ooh. Yeah, let's...
When you make the run.
Ronald was also massively influenced by right-wing magazines. An article in the ultra-conservative magazine Human Events led Ronald to say on the radio that Henry Kissinger was behind a secret plan to give away the Panama Canal, which could lead to Americans having their mail monitored by Panama's intelligence agency.
Okay.
Wait.
Lots happening.
There's so much to unpack there. So, somehow...
Henry Kissinger, Ford's Secretary of State.
I know, but somehow our mail goes through the Panama Canal.
That's right.
All right.
Of course, it's mail.
All mail goes on a boat through the Panama Canal.
Didn't know that.
What do you know how mail works?
I went to public school.
Post office, Panama. We still haven't figured that out. We take all of our mail on the East Coast. We ship it around through Panama.
Right. And so, I'll be honest. It seems like an unnecessary step.
It's a little weird.
I think we could cut that one. And of course, he's paranoid about what's happening to the mail. He's like, "Where are my fact letters? The Panamanians will put crazy shit in there."
Nancy made sure he got rest while he was campaigning. Always he had an afternoon nap.
Aw. He must have looked adorable.
Yeah, sure.
Just welfare queens. Oil in Alaska.
Sports scores start coming out. Oh, boy.
And his schedule had to be approved by an astrologer.
Oh, boy.
Oh, what? I don't think you should have lunch then.
Yeah. Not with Mercury in retrograde, he will.
Look at Taurus. Does he eat ham? He needs to stop. Look at Taurus.
So Ford got the nomination, but Ronald shifted voters to the right. He ran again in 1979.
But he almost took the nomination away from Ford. It was a
close.
huge mess. Yeah.
It was close.
Yeah.
So on November 4th, 1979, Iranian students seized the U.S. Embassy in Tehran and took 52 Americans hostage. Reagan became the GOP candidate and offered the VP slot to George H.W. Bush. Bush had campaigned in favor of the Equal Rights Amendment, abortion rights, and gun control, but he tossed it all aside and endorsed Reagan's platform.
Wow.
Hey, so check it out. Everything I believe in is out the window.
I had my fingers crossed. Yeah.
You know who was also very much for gun control back in the 60s in California was Ronald Reagan, because the Black Panthers really enjoyed open carry.
Right.
And then he was, we need gun control.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's how you get it done.
I took that out, but yeah.
All right. Sorry.
That's all right. There's so much to put in.
I know. It's just, it's a gallery of horrors.
So Bush and Reagan's campaign slogan, "Let's make America great again."
Wait, was it? Mm-hmm. Oh, my God.
Yeah, that's fucked.
I was so not aware of politics
Yeah.
back. I was only 11. Let's make America great again. Fantastic.
Yeah.
The country was in bad shape. High inflation, high unemployment, an energy crisis, and the hostage situation. Ronald ran the exact same campaign as 76. Even Nancy gave anti-busing speeches.
Oh, boy.
He wanted to slash taxes and opposed unemployment insurance, or as he called it, quote, vacation money for the lazy.
That's an asshole.
Old man Potter.
Yeah.
What are they supposed to do?
I know.
It'd be better if they were just shooting people and taking stuff.
It's also this is the only country that shits on vacations so hard. Like every other nation in the world is like, what do you need? A month to go for a year, you know?
Yeah.
In America, it's like, you got a day.
Yeah, how dare you not grind 24/7?
Come on.
That's how you enjoy life.
Hear those machines creeping over?
So Ronald won 44 states. In December, it was reported Nancy didn't understand why the Carters wouldn't move out of the White House early so she could get started on redecorating.
Well, to be fair, she knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
During the transition, word came that Ronald seemed uninterested. A Washington Post headline on December 18, 1979, quote, "Reagan on the sidelines. He often seems remote from transition." Longtime aide Ed Meese countered that Ronald, quote, "is really running things."
Wow. Well, there you go.
It is. Very validating. Thank you so much.
No, he's actually smart.
No,
well, damn, he got me.
He does stuff. Oh, what a shocker.
On January 20th, 1981, Ronald was inaugurated. Carter hadn't slept in 48 hours because his administration was negotiating for 4 days straight to get the hostages out. He agreed to lift some sanctions against Iran if the hostages were returned. As Ronald began his address, the hostages were freed. In his speech, Ronald told a story from the movie Marine Raiders as if it were real.
Well, that's kind of fun.
Who can forget when that giant ape rampaged through Manhattan in 1933?
We still recover.
Those brave biplane fighters brought him down. But in the end, it was beauty killed the beast.
That's why I'm introducing the Kong Amendment.
Yeah. Why didn't he confuse more exciting movies?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Seriously.
King Kong was our greatest threat back then, and we got rid of him.
Everyone talks about saving the environment, but there are black lagoons filled with gill men who want to steal our female swimmers.
We have to stop the spiders from Mars.
Now is the time for Mothra. Mothra!
He also talked about a soldier who had died in World War I who was buried in Arlington. But the press looked into it, and there was no soldier buried by that name in Arlington. The New York Times confronted the White House, who said Ronald didn't mean to imply the soldier was buried in Arlington.
There you go. That's cleaned up. Any more questions?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, we couldn't find a Private Seymour Butts in Arlington.
He misspoke. Someone wrote that in a letter. That was in a letter he got.
A letter.
On Inauguration Day, Ronald visited Speaker of the House, Tip O'Neill. O'Neill showed him a desk that had been President Grover Cleveland's. Ronald looked at it and said he played Grover Cleveland in a movie. And O'Neill then told Ronald he had actually played Grover Cleveland Alexander, the baseball player, not the president.
Oh, my God. What?
Wow.
The recall? What? That's not good news.
And that's why Tip spent the next 8 years hammered.
Honestly, that moment for Tip must have been a very... it's a tipping point.
Yeah, he took his 2-year chip out, tossed it into the Potomac, and just started going.
I mean, literally, as I was doing research...
I'll be in the tub.
The best... And all the research, the best quotes, and I take them out because there were so many, but it's just Tip O'Neill going, "He's a fucking idiot!" like just over and over.
I played Grover Cleveland. There's a long pause before you react there. Where you're like, how do I unpack this?
So instead of chief of staff, Ronald had what was called the Troika. Jim Baker, Ed Meese, and Mike Deaver ran it together.
Three just fantastic,
wonderful human beings,
fantastically moral, upright men.
What if we got 3 psychopaths?
Yeah.
So Deaver got along great with Nancy. They shared interests, and he got into astrology.
Oh, boy.
Alexander Haig was appointed Secretary of State. William Clark, who worked for Reagan in California, was appointed Undersecretary of State. At his hearing, he was asked if he was familiar with the struggles of the British Labour Party. Said he was not. Did he know which European nations don't want U.S. nuclear weapons on their soil? He didn't know. Could he name the Prime Minister of South Africa? Quote, "I cannot, sir." Prime Minister of Zimbabwe? Nope. On and on.
At least you're comfortably hanging in there with those punches. Like, nope, also nothing.
Our current president? Nah. Drawing a blank. Not sure.
The U.S. had a $60 billion deficit. Ronald announced a federal hiring freeze, halted pending regulations, including airbags in cars and energy standards for new buildings. And he said he wanted a 10% income tax reduction for each year in 81, 82, and 83. To make up for that, he would cut federal employee benefits, food stamps, child nutrition programs, unemployment insurance, welfare benefits, and money for art, humanities, and sciences. 83 federal programs were gutted. It only saved $41 billion. And then he gave tax cuts to the oil industry and savings and loans, and military spending went up by $28 billion.
Here we go.
Jesus.
And we're off.
There you go. Yep.
This was supply-side economics. Everyone called it Reaganomics or trickle-down economics, or as George Bush had called it in the campaign, voodoo economics, because it was absolute bullshit.
Right.
It has literally never worked.
No, and
ever.
they still bring it up.
They still bring it up.
They still call it trickle down.
Yeah.
It's like they've gotten pretty good at renaming bullshit. It's time to stop trickle down.
It's amazing.
The House was controlled by Democrats, so they pushed back on the tax cuts. On the day that Ronald's government declared ketchup would now be counted as a vegetable in school lunches to save money.
Ketchup and salt.
What a great time.
Yeah.
That's like it's like America's coming out party. Ketchup's a fucking vegetable. Woo! Yeah.
On the same day, it was announced that Nancy spent over $200,000 on new china.
Wow.
People weren't happy. An ex-aide explained, quote, "It would be a mistake to say per se that ketchup was classified as a vegetable. Ketchup in combination with other things is classified as a vegetable."
Like your
when
fries.
asked what those things were, quote, "French fries or hamburgers."
Oh my God!
Yeah.
What? That's amazing.
Yeah.
We really are
potatoes and tomatoes. There you go.
Great nation.
God.
Potatoes
Holy
and tomatoes.
shit.
It's a vegetable if it's with meat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sawdust is a grain.
Now, James Watt, who was Secretary of the Interior, was a bit religious. At a hearing, he asked if natural resources must be preserved for future generations. And he said yes.
Okay.
But, quote, "I do not know how many future generations we can count on before the Lord returns."
Which, by the way, that our current guy, Mike Pompeo, is saying we will fight in Iran until the rapture.
No.
Yeah.
That he says that, and he said that multiple times. We will fight until the rapture.
Okay, well, that's comforting.
So there you go.
In December 1980...
What's it going to be like that moment where it's all done? I just hope there's enough oxygen for us to breathe in that nothing is happening when it's all said and done. So that we can at least look at the people who've been calling this moment. Just be like, yeah, fuck you, with like the last breath.
Yeah.
You're an idiot.
Die together.
In December 1980, 4 nuns were raped and executed in El Salvador. This was just one of many atrocities committed by the government-backed death squads against leftists. But due to the fight against communism, Ronald kept funding the government of El Salvador. One of his top foreign policy advisors, Jean Kirkpatrick, said, quote, "They were not just nuns, they were political activists."
Well, I mean, what
Holy
the fuck?
shit. And they also killed a fucking priest, right? Romero.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you, like, that doesn't mean anything. They were murdered and raped.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean anything.
It has no,
Secretary of State Alexander Haig told the House Foreign Affairs Committee that, quote, "Perhaps the vehicle the nuns were riding in may have tried to run a roadblock or may have accidentally been perceived to have been doing so, and there may have been exchange of gunfire."
Wait a minute, exchange. So they're saying the nuns were shooting?
Nuns with guns?
That's what he's saying. He's saying that the nuns might have been armed. They were sexually assaulted.
Yeah, exactly. So there's, like, even if you were to be like, okay, they were killed, why is there that middle step?
Jesus Christ.
In a gun battle.
The lack of soul you have to have.
I mean, really, like, I would never say stop talking because you want to hear the darkness inside of these people, but how is someone not just like, dude, just
And
shut
also,
up.
again, not that this should matter, they're fucking evil people, but not only are they saying the shit you're saying they're saying, they then went and got 8 hours sleep.
That's
like,
right.
I've
Like
lost nights of sleep because I thought that, I think I may have lied to that person.
Yeah,
or
you said the wrong thing.
Or I
offended him.
Exactly.
Right.
Or I promised something and now I can't deliver it and I'm going to let someone down. And these people are excusing the rape of nuns and then just went right to bed.
Like the Three Stooges with the like,
just
like
none.
comfortably.
It's just, God damn. Sociopaths.
Yeah.
Mask of sanity.
Haig then told the U.S. ambassador to send a cable stating the military was making progress investigating the murders. And the ambassador refused, writing, quote, "I will have no part of a cover-up." He was soon removed. Mm-hmm. Fortunately, according to a CBS poll, only 25% of Americans knew El Salvador was in Central America.
Well, ketchup's a vegetable.
Yeah, sure.
March 30th, 1981, as Ronald Reagan left the D.C. Hilton, he was shot by 26-year-old John Hinckley Jr., who was super into Jodie Foster. He left a note in his hotel room, quote, "Jodie, I'm asking you to please look into your heart and at least give me the chance with this historical deed to gain your respect and love."
Jesus Christ.
She didn't go for it.
She didn't.
That didn't work?
No.
I remember them being married.
Try to kill yourself.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's what you do.
A D.C. police officer, a Secret Service agent, and Press Secretary James Brady were also shot. Brady was shot in the head.
Jesus.
A shot glanced off the bulletproof panel of the car, pancaked, and hit the president under the arm, then lodged in his lung just 1 inch from his heart. There was a real possibility he would die, and the White House went into turmoil. George Bush was on a plane heading to Texas, and he was told to return. Secretary of State Alexander Haig then declared himself in charge.
Oh, wow.
so
What?
much.
He just
I
rolled
love
in
it.
and was like, it's me?
He goes out. Go ahead.
Quote, "The helm is right here, and that means right in this chair for now, constitutionally, until the vice president gets here." But he was wrong.
He's very
Because
wrong.
The Speaker of the House
Yeah.
was supposed to take over. Like every kid, children know that.
Yeah. It's fucking, there's a Schoolhouse Rock song about it, I think. Jesus Christ.
So Haig went into the press room and was asked who was in charge. Quote, "Constitutionally, gentlemen, you have the president, the vice president, and secretary of state in that order. And should the president decide he wants to transfer the helm to the vice president, he will do so. As of now, I am in control here in the White House, pending the return of the vice president and in close touch with him. If anything came up, I would check with him, of course."
So he is he saying he's higher than the vice president?
No, he's saying right now
Right
he's in
now he
charge.
is.
Because he's in the air.
Because he's in the air. Okay,
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if he was like,
Yeah.
it's also because he's not here, it's kind of me forever.
Maybe this is another Dollop, but also weren't John Hinckley's parents like either friends of the Bushes or like?
No, I don't know.
It was
Oh,
there
really?
was a more of a. He wasn't just some random weirdo.
Right.
He was connected to them socially or something.
really?
It was some weirdness.
That's gonna be an awkward
That could be
cocktail party after
Very so. My son. Let me just start with.
He was always weird.
Oh boy, he is crazy.
He doesn't get women.
Hey, wait, hang on. Do we have violent video games yet? Shit, I was going to... Damn it. Sorry. That's another 10 years? Yeah. Oh, boy.
So, Jody, how did you and John meet?
In his defense, Candleshoe is a great movie. That was so good.
So after this, the defense secretary confronted Haig, and Haig said, quote, "Look, you better go home and read your Constitution, buddy. That's the way it is."
What? How do you get to the podium without someone stopping you?
I know, and I also love that it's like an old 1940. Hey, you better go read your Constitution, buddy.
And he's wrong. It's all perfect.
So friggin' wrong. It's the best.
Why don't you go read your Constitution? Put your Constitution under your pillow. See if it gets in there through osmosis.
All of Ronald's kids rushed to D.C. Patty and Ron were allowed to see him immediately. Nancy told Maureen and Michael he was too weak to see them.
Oh, Jesus. Wow. Of course.
You
know what?
See 2 kids
Fucking
a day.
play on, player.
Yeah.
Don't you ever stop, Nancy.
Yeah.
He left the hospital in 2 weeks, and his approval rating shot up to 68%.
Right.
He asked for major cuts to Social Security, and the Senate voted against 96-0.
Okay.
Ronald then went on TV and asked everyone to call their congressman and demand tax cuts, and people did. Congress finally gave in. He got 25% tax cuts over 3 years. This was the biggest reduction in U.S. taxes in the past 70 years.
Yeah, great.
When he signed the tax
Way to go, Hinckley.
Yeah, good work.
Totally.
Yeah.
When he signed the tax cuts, he was in the middle of a 28-day vacation at his California ranch. His dog walked by, and a reporter asked what the dog's name was.
Oh, no.
Ronald, quote, "Lassie. Millie. Millie's her name."
Lassie, is something wrong with the president, girl? What's going on, Lassie? Is the president's mind leaving him, Lass? What's going on?
I mean, this is fucking 81.
That's
I know.
good.
Yeah, this wasn't that. Well,
This is an 87.
Yeah. The official story was like, what was the last few months?
No.
No. Right.
In June, Ronald was at a reception for mayors. He walked up to a black mayor and said, quote, "How are you, Mr. Mayor? I'm glad to meet you. How are things in your city?" He was not a mayor. He was Samuel Pierce, Ronald's only black cabinet member.
Oh, Jesus Christ, Ronald. Come on, dude.
Wow.
In 1981, there was a strange...
You probably just pretend you're the mayor. It's so awkward. It's pretty good. Crime's down.
It's fine. I'm not your housing secretary at all.
Yeah, over in Flappyville.
If Flappyville's doing good, is it? I know you guys had some trouble.
Oh, God bless Flappyville.
Yeah, love. I got to come back there. I love the cotton candy pool. Brrr, I'm a jet plane. I'm going to fly out of the room now. Watch me. Brrr, yay.
In 1981, there was a strange disease affecting mostly gay men. On July 3rd, 1981, the New York Times published an article about it. The media started calling it Gay-Related Immune Deficiency Syndrome, or GRIDS for short. Also, the gay plague and the gay cancer. The White House made no mention of it. The Professional Air Traffic Controllers Organization, PATCO, was threatening to go on strike. They were one of the few unions who had backed Ronald in the election because many were veterans. Ronald had told the union head, quote, "If I am elected president, I will take whatever steps are necessary to provide our air traffic controllers with the most modern equipment available and to adjust staff levels." He did absolutely none of that. And the membership authorized a strike. Ronald said public employees couldn't go on strike, but public employees had struck in the past. And it took 21 weeks to be trained to be an air traffic controller, so they thought this gave them power. And at union meetings would say stuff like, quote, "What are they going to do, fire us all?"
Yeah.
On August 31st, the union of 13,000 members struck. Ronald declared them in violation of the law and gave them 48 hours to return to work. A judge backed him and ordered PATCO to pay $100,000 for each hour they were striking. 1,300 went back to work. The rest were fired and banned from federal employment for life. Some union
for life?
For life.
That's just
Reagan. Clinton reversed it. But
okay.
Some union officials were arrested. With military controllers,
that's like Harlan County, USA shit.
Yeah,
and this,
literally like Mattawan coal miner strike shit.
Yeah.
Without, oh my God.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And okay, keep going.
With military controllers and supervisors, the FAA operated at 70% of normal. The government trained new controllers. PATCO had some demands like taking flights to get familiar with the pilot's landing experience, and Ronald used these, saying they were unnecessary perks to get the public on his side. Before, it had been not acceptable to replace workers with scabs, but now that was over. Firing workers was legitimized as a response to labor disputes, and this became a huge blow to labor forever.
Yeah. I mean, really, that is kind of like we've never really recovered from that, right? Because it was like the tipping point where it was now acceptable to do that.
Yeah.
And,
There were a lot of leaks to the press from the White House. Ronald's budget director was quoted in Atlantic Monthly articles saying, quote, "None of us really understand what's going on with these numbers," and that supply side economics was, quote, "a Trojan horse to bring down the top rate." He said it out loud to Atlantic Monthly.
I mean,
he said it out loud.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean,
Ronald vetoed a stopgap spending bill and shut down the federal government for the first time in history. Tip O'Neill said, quote, "He knows less about the budget than any president in my lifetime. He can't even carry on a conversation about the budget. It's an absolute and utter disgrace." Glug, glug. My face isn't red enough.
And then he would eat 9 pizzas.
Anyway, I broke my record for pizza eating. Any questions on that? I ate 9 pies.
In what would become a repeating pattern, Ronald, at a fundraiser, said a blind man had written him a letter saying if cutting off his pension would help the country, he was for it. Ronald said the letter was written in Braille.
But,
he gave absolutely no proof of this letter. He would talk about letters like this for the rest of his presidency and never give any proof.
I mean, is there Braille paper? Can you
I think you can write.
I bet you
Braille,
can.
you do it in the little circles.
Almost or you do it with a little punch thing.
Right. Okay. So
he could have done it, but then
possible.
But then who read it?
It's a lot of.
There's a lot
of
going
leaps.
on there.
Few too many leaps.
A blind man with no hands who was allergic to paper wrote me a letter saying that.
So I wrote him back just by punching a pen into it. I hope it made sense. Looked like his. Might have been his.
Now, there was also too much cheese.
Whoa, this is not the first president to face this issue.
I remember those dark years.
Yeah,
right. We lost my
We
uncle.
need a hero. My uncle died in the Cheddar War.
In the cheddar surplus.
Yeah.
A huge wheel of Edom crushed him.
We need macaroni now more than ever.
During the 70s, dairy prices had shot up and the government intervened and prices plummeted. So Carter subsidized the dairy industry, which led to a surplus in dairy and cheese.
Okay.
Eventually, there were 500 million pounds of cheese stored in hundreds of warehouses in 35 states.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, my God.
And Ronald had no idea what to do with it.
I can't imagine having this issue. Cheese crisis. That's the only thing that's keeping me up.
I can't sleep. Cheesegate. So it's processed American cheese designed to last a long time. This became public when the agricultural secretary came to a White House event with a 5-pound block of green molding cheese. He showed it to the press and said, quote, "It's moldy, it's deteriorating. We can't find a market for it. We can't sell it. We're looking to try to give it away somehow." The public became very upset because Ronald ran on cutting welfare, but he was hoarding cheese.
I mean, what bothers us?
We are bothered by the dumbest.
Yeah, we don't know anything. We'll call Congress people for tax cuts that will make our lives worse.
Well, we're kicking mental patients out of hospitals to die on the street. Where's my cheese?
Enough bullshit.
How come there's no cheese?
We want to see pictures of the cheese house. We're not idiots.
Storm the cheese house.
We got a quesadilla shortage.
Open these doors.
All right, boys, start munching.
Send out your cheese, motherfuckers.
Fucking idiot.
So Ronald went on TV and gave a speech about cheese. Quote,
Imagine. I can't imagine watching the president. Hello. Somber night in the White House.
quote, "At a time when American families are under increasing financial pressure, their government cannot sit by and watch millions of pounds of food turn to waste. The Temporary Emergency Food Assistance Program was created, and it handed out blocks of cheese to elderly, low-income people and aid organizations. People lined up to get their cheese. At the end of 1981, Ronald Reagan's approval rating was at 49%.
Even after the cheese giveaway?
Yeah, I mean,
what
honestly,
does he have to do?
I know, and I like the way that it's it's a problem. And so you're like, I'll just give away all the cheese to the old people. It's like, this is not... What's happening in America right now? Well, we found a home.
Yeah.
That's the end of our first half.
Oh my God! What a wonderful place to end.
Yes, yeah.
Well,
it would be amazing if it ended there, but guys, hang on.
I think there's a second part.
Well,
Yeah.
the cool thing is the second part is where it gets really crazy.
Oh God! Well, then with that, I'm going to use the restroom and get a beverage.
Okay.
All right.
Sources for this episode: "The Clothes Have No Emperor" by Paul Slansky, a Reagan American Journey by Bob Spitz. Nancy Reagan, the unauthorized biography by Kitty Kelly, American Scandal, the podcast, Iran Contra series, Behind the Bastards podcast, Ronald and Nancy Reagan. Behind the Bastards is a good podcast, by the way. Also, East Bay Yesterday podcast. It takes a bloodbath to get it over with. My History Can Beat Up Your Politics podcast, a dozen Ronald Reagan series, presidential podcast, Ronald Reagan, Myths and Truths, and the 43 Presidents, What They Said to and About Each Other by Nero James Pruitt, August. And then a ton of just websites. I mean, like 60 or something. So that'll all be up on the sources page.
Wow. Hey, dollheads, calling the Gare Force. This is getting a little weird, I agree. Hey, I'm going to be on the road doing stand-up comedy. Come see me. Go to GarethReynolds.com for all these tickets and information. Follow me at Reynolds Gareth on all the socials. I will be in Portland November 1st through November 3rd. I will be in Eugene, Oregon, November 4th. I'll be in Bend November 5th. Seattle, November 6th. 2 shows. First one sold out. November 7th, I'll be in Vancouver. I'll be in Philly, December 27th, 28th, 29th, and then I'll be doing New Year's in Austin, Texas at Cap City Comedy. And January 4th, you can see me in Burbank, California. Let's keep them coming. I'll also be in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, January 12th, San Francisco, February 12th, and Sacramento, February 13th. GarethReynolds.com for tickets and information.
Gear up for winter adventures at Epic Mountain Gear. Shop in-store at any of our 7 locations and take advantage of expert boot fitting, big junior trade savings, and tune and wax services. Plus, our experts are on hand to advise on the widest selection of this season's newest ski and snowboard gear, apparel, and accessories. From top brands like Salomon, Burton, Oakley, K2, The North Face, Patagonia, Helly Hansen, and more. Get winter ready at your local Epic Mountain Gear. Epic Mountain Gear. Your winter adventure begins here. See epicmountaingear.com for locations.